วันนี้นะคะเราจะได้มีโอกาสพูดคุยกับเขาเรียกว่าเป็นชาวต่างชาติท่านหนึ่งนะคะที่เขามีความหลงใหลในเมืองไทยมากแล้วก็คือแบบไปเที่ยวมารอบโลกแล้วอย่างเงี้ยแล้วก็เริ่มรู้สึกว่าเขามีความชอบในวัฒนธรรมของเรานะคะแล้วก็มาตั้งหลักปักฐานตัวเองเนี่ยอยู่ที่เชียงใหม่แต่ในขณะเดียวกันเนี่ยก็อยากจะดูแลผู้สูงอายุไม่ว่าจะเป็นคุณแม่ของเขาหรือว่าคุณพ่อของเขาเนี่ยแต่ว่าอยากจะดูแลคนอื่นๆที่เป็นผู้สูงอายุเหมือนกันนะคะก็เลยทำให้ผู้ชายคนนี้นะคะมาทำสถานดูแลผู้สูงอายุผู้เกษียณอายุเนี่ยที่มีความหรูหรามากๆอยู่ที่เชียงใหม่นะคะเขาชื่อว่าเป็นรีสอร์ทชื่อว่า Care Resort นั่นเองนะคะขอเสียงปรบมือให้คุณพีเตอร์บราวน์ด้วยค่ะ
สวัสดีครับขอโทษผมพูดภาษาไทยได้แต่ผมไม่เก่งแล้วก็ผมต้องพูดภาษาอังกฤษ I'm going to talk to you today about how my wife, who is Thai, and I developed a care facility for the elderly in Chiang Mai. My presentation is in two parts. First of all, I'm going to talk about the background, more statistics on the aging world, and then talk about Thailand as a destination for the elderly. Then I'll talk about Care Resort Chiang Mai. Why did we develop it? I'll talk about Care Resort Chiang Mai, what I call the hardware, the buildings, the grounds, and then the key philosophies, call that the software. Then a little bit about our history, the parameters of our business, more software, the journey so far, so where are we today, how we dealt with dementia, one of the growing problems of today's world, and the lessons to be learnt. So let's talk about the aging world. We've heard about it today, but let's try and put it in some meaningful statistics. If we look at the population over 60 years old, in 2015, there were 901 million. By 2030, that will be 1.4 million, a 56% growth. And by 2050, it'll be 240 million. That's double, more than double what it is now. More than 1 billion extra people in the world over 60 years old. But if you look at that problem, let's look at the population over 80 years old, currently 125 million. In just 2030, it grows to 212 million, a 70% growth. And by 2050, it's grown more than 3 times to 434 million. More than 3 times as many people in the world over 80 as there is today. And that needs some planning for. Now, the most elderly country in the world currently is Japan. It has 33% of its population over 60 years old. But Japan's problem's already here. It's got very little growth over the next 10, 20 years. It's relatively static. It's already got an aging population. So we move closer to home. Let's look at Asia. Asia's got a bigger problem. The population over 60 years, currently 508 million. By 2030, 844 million, a 66% growth. And by 2050, 1.293 million, 155% growth from 2015. And then we look at the population over 80 years. Currently, 60 million. 2030, 104 million, 73% more people over 80 years. And finally, in 2050, 256 million. Okay, so from 60 million now to 256 million by 2050, more than 4 times the growth in Asia of the amount of people over 80 years. So let's move closer to home, Thailand. Thailand's age problem isn't here now, but it's coming. Currently, 16% of the population are over 60 years. By 2030, this rises to 27%. Doesn't sound very much, 16 to 27%, but it's a 69% growth in the amount of people over 60 years old. And in 2030, Thailand will have the 7th largest aged population by percentage in the world. But Thailand's got a second problem. At the same time that the working population, that the aged population is growing in Thailand, the working population will shrink by 17.3% by 2040. So what you've got is a growing aged population supported by a declining working population. And this decline in the working population is the largest in East Asia Pacific, including China. So what effect will this have on Thailand? Well, Asia has a great advantage over the West. It uses an in-family care situation. Most Asian families expect to care for their elderly. But this growth in the elderly, this decline in the working population, is going to put a strain on that solution. Now, the Thai government already adopts a very sensible Asian model. Help the family care for the elderly with mobile care support. However, 66% of the areas operating this scheme in Thailand say it currently does not meet the needs. Now, those figures are probably the same in every country in the world. No government puts enough money into caring for its aged population. And if you're not caring for them with the current needs, how do you cope with them with the future growth? So now I look at Thailand as an elderly care destination. In other words, a place for the elderly to come and retire. First of all, I look at the advantages. It's a lower cost environment than most of the West. It's got warm weather. Chiang Mai even has a beautiful, cool winter. It's a tourist destination. There's plenty of things to see. It's got good shopping. It's got entertainment facilities. It's got good quality, cost-effective health care, although some of the hospitals need to look very carefully to make sure it remains cost-effective. And it's a land of smiles. Thai people are friendly people. Hello. Okay. Most importantly, Thailand has a family-orientated conservative culture. People in Thailand respect the elderly. Now, most Thai people say, why is that a big deal? Well, you need to go to the West where people don't necessarily respect the elderly, and you understand what a big deal it is. There's an expectation in Thailand to care for the elderly. Thailand has got some disadvantages. It's got a failing long-term visa system, particularly where I live in Chiang Mai. 60% of people who renew their visas in Chiang Mai on their own spend between 6 and 10 hours at immigration to do a 15-minute process renewing their visa. That may be fine if you're 40 years old, but when you're 80, it's impossible. So you have to use a visa agent. But why should you use a visa agent to do something that takes 15 minutes and pay between 5,000 and 12,000 baht? It's a system that doesn't encourage the elderly to like the immigration system here. There are no general practitioner system to facilitate visiting doctors. Now, this is hard for Thais to understand, but a lot of the world has many more doctor clinics, uses hospitals less, and doctors come out and visit people in their own home. It'd be a big advantage for us to doctors to come once a week, do a surgery at our premises, see the elderly, save me dragging them off to hospital, back and forward. But it's not easy because Thai law doesn't allow a doctor to practice in my facility because we haven't got a license. But there's a lack of licensing and control on all elderly care facilities in Thailand because nobody's really thought that elderly care facilities would exist in Thailand because people care for the elderly in the home. There are underdeveloped foreign language skills. We have to teach nearly all our staff more English so they can cope with the foreign guests. There are no current carer training programs. And there's a shortage of disabled provision. If you walk down the sidewalks in Thailand, you'll often find a tree growing out the middle of the pavement. That may be okay if you're walking. If you're in a wheelchair, it means you can't get past. And if it's not a tree, it's a motorbike or a shop that's extended its premises out onto the sidewalks. But at the end of the day, the disadvantages of Thailand's elderly care facilities are far outshone by the advantages. It's a really good place to come and retire. So why did my wife and I develop Care Resort Chiang Mai? Well, first of all, meet my mother. My mother is 94 years old. She's nearly blind. She's got bad arthritis. She's got dementia. And she was in a UK care facility. And every year, care levels went down, and every year, prices went up. Now, the prices going up is not too much of a problem, but care levels going down is a big problem. I didn't want my mother lying dead on the floor in a care facility anywhere in the world. And my wife and I had a belief we could do things better. And a belief that the elderly deserve better. Now, we already had a facility in Chiang Mai. We already had a hotel. A beautiful, quiet, relaxing location, great for the elderly. And we had a strong view that Thai staff would make good carers. So let me tell you a little bit about Care Resort Chiang Mai, the hardware. It's set on 25 Rai of the tranquil Maerim Valley. It's about 20 kilometers north of Chiang Mai, Thailand. It's got 57 villas with alarms. Quite a big percentage of those villas are built for the elderly. No steps, wide doors, non-slip floors, grab rails in the bathroom, wheelchair access. We've got 13 memory care facility rooms, and I'll talk more about memory care and dementia later. We've got nearly 1,000 trees, gardens, a lake, full Wi-Fi provision throughout the resort, disabled facilities, disabled transport, meeting facilities, a restaurant, 2 swimming pools, and a spa. And we've got more space if we want to develop. Before I talk more about how we develop Care Resort, let's talk more about today's elderly. Today is not the same as the past. It never has been, never will be. Today's elderly expect more. Life expectancy after retirement has increased from 5 to 7 years to living 20 to 30 years. So if you look at that, you work for 40 years, you retire, and you've got 20 to 30 years left of your life. And just because you've got a small incapacity doesn't mean you have to spend your life sitting in a rocking chair on a terrace watching the world go by. Today's elderly have done a lot in life. Most of them have been through a world war. They're independent people. They have their own views on what's good and what's bad. So, we had to develop an elderly care facility. Neither of us had any experience in developing an elder care facility. And when we looked at other care facilities, we didn't want to copy them. I'm sure there was good practice somewhere, I just didn't see it. So we had to think of how do we want our business to be. Now, we designed our business for 2 people. Number 1, you've already met her, was my mother. We designed it, what would my mother want? What does my mother need? Now, my mother used to say to me, please don't ever put me in a nursing home. Nursing home is where somebody goes to die slowly. So I had to think about those words. A nursing home is where somebody goes to die. So if I want to cure that problem, I need to develop somewhere where people go to live. And the second person I designed this for was myself. I always think you should try and design a business for yourself. What would I want if I walked in that shop? What do I want if I walk in that cinema? So I decided, what do I want if I'm 80 years old, slightly incapacitated, and I need somewhere to live? Well, I don't want to be told what to do. I don't want to be told when I have to eat. I don't want to be told what I've got to eat. I don't want that. I had all that as a child. I don't need it after 40 years of working and living my life. So we designed the business with two key philosophies. I hope, yeah. First of all, there will always be enough care. Care is not something that's rationed. There'll always be enough staff to give care. Why? Well, believe me, care works. Care helps people live a better life. And remember that phrase, live a better life, because you'll keep hearing it over and over again. It's what we're about. And secondly, because you've heard my views already, independence and freedom of choice are important. Why? To preserve self-esteem and dignity. Now, dignity is an important word for me. In Thai, the word is giat. And dignity is something you don't worry about until you've lost it. But preserving people's dignity is important. My staff know they have to help people live a healthy life and at the same time preserve their dignity. Don't treat them like children. They're not children. And we have this phrase, adding years to life, adding life to years. So it's not just about living longer, it's about living better when you live longer. So let's look at our history. In 2007, we purchased a bankrupt hotel. We purchased it from 6 banks, 6 people, and for those of you who know about Chinook, we purchased 28 Chinook. We spent 1 year rebuilding and refurbishing, my first year in Thailand, the toughest year of my life. And in 2008, we opened a 4-star garden resort, a family business. In 2013, we started planning. We opened Care Resort Chiang Mai after 6 months of planning. And finally, in November next month, I go to London to pick up a major worldwide award for Care Resort Chiang Mai. I'm not allowed to talk about the award until I pick it up, but for me, it's like winning the Oscar of Care Resorts. So I'm proud for my wife and I. I'm proud for my staff. I'm proud for Chiang Mai, and I'll be proud for Thailand. So let's look at the parameters of the business, more software. There is no reason a quality life can't be enjoyed by the elderly. We wanted guests to receive as much care as they want or as they need. We needed to provide 24-hour nursing and care cover, so there's always somebody there. 2 o'clock in the morning, you need a carer, they're there. We wanted the ability for guests to stay for short term or for life. Now that sounds simple, but the guest you get today isn't necessarily the same guest next year because they're elderly. Accidents happen, the body starts to fail, so you have to cater for disabilities, and you have to cater for mental deterioration. In this day and age, mental deterioration is focused on dementia. We must be able to provide up to 24-hour one-to-one care. That's 1 carer, 1 guest, 24 hours a day. Except it's not 1 carer, it's 3 carers working 8-hour shifts and a 4th carer to cover for their days off and holidays. We wanted to create a multinational community. There was no reason for this at all, except I wanted a multinational community. I liked the thought of people from different countries, different cultures living together. We wanted pricing to be fully inclusive, so you know what you're going to pay next month, you know what you're going to pay the month after, everything's included. And we wanted it to be affordable, but not subsidized. The problem with the word affordable is one man's affordability is another man's out of reach. But we wanted to try and make it as affordable to as many people as we could. We wanted a supportive environment for guests. What does this mean? Well, it means there's always help available. If you can't work your iPad, somebody will go and teach you how to do it. If you can't do an international bank transfer, I'll go and show them how it's achieved. Somebody is always there to help. We wanted alarm rooms and carers with pages. Basically, that means you pull the alarm in your room, somebody who can give you CPR or call an ambulance is in your room in 3 minutes. You hope you never pull that alarm, but if you do, it can save lives, and has. We wanted trained staff. We don't employ people from the street, put them in a uniform, and call them nursing staff. We have qualified nurses or trained nurse aides that have done 1 year's nurse aid training, and then we teach them how to be carers, because there are no carer training courses that I know of in Thailand. We wanted inclusive activities, weekly shopping, excursions, Pilates, Tai Chi, yoga, aquarobics, everything included in the price. And we wanted a lack of rules, a sense of freedom. We didn't want to be a boarding school for the elderly. So our meals, breakfast is from 6:30 till 10:30, lunch is from 11:30 till 2:30, dinner is from 5 till 10. Our guests choose from a menu. Every day they choose off the menu. They're not told what to eat, they're not told when to eat, they're not told where to eat. And we wanted to be part of a local community. We try as far as possible to recruit our staff locally. We have links with the local temple. We have links with the local children's home. We encourage our guests to meet local people, make friends with local people, understand the culture of the country in which they're living. So the journey so far, what have been the issues? Well, like all businesses, marketing. Now, I made this more difficult because I chose to be multinational. If I picked one country like Japan or Korea and just focused on it, my marketing would be easier. But we had to look where to market. Advertising for the seniors can be very expensive. We can't afford to advertise worldwide, put adverts in every magazine, every newspaper. We're a small, self-financed family business. There's the internet, but do the elderly search it? And the next question, who's the decision maker? Does the elderly person themselves decide, I want to go to a care facility? Or is it their son, their daughter, their aunt, their next door neighbor, their friend? We get a lot of inquiries. I've had over 2,000 inquiries. I deal with every inquiry myself. It's time consuming. And then languages have been a problem. Nursing staff with English are limited and therefore expensive. Care staff mostly require further English language training. Now, many places have solved this problem by recruiting Filipinos. We haven't yet. Nothing against Filipinos, but I want to be part of the local community. I want my staff to be local Northern Thai people. And I don't want two sets of staff that can't talk to each other. I want a family business. I want my staff to talk in Thai language to each other. Now, this is the biggest issue with care facilities, not just with mine, with every care facility in Asia I've looked at or dealt with. Slow build-up time. I think Andrew talked of it earlier on with his first business. Sometimes it takes a while for your business to grow. On average, from the first inquiry I receive from a guest to the time they walk through the door takes a year. It's a long time when you're trying to build a new business. And why does it take so long? Well, it's a big decision. You're moving away from home, you're moving away from family, you're moving away from friends. And who makes the decision? Do you make it? Does your son make it? Does your daughter make it? And it's a new culture you're going to. Will I like Thailand? Is it safe? Is it developed? What's it like? Do they have hospitals? Many questions that people have. And then many people wait until they're in need of care. The problem with that is when you're lying sick in a bed, it's not necessarily the best time to sell your house, to close your bank accounts, to move money to Thailand, to get on an airplane, fly 24 hours to come to a new country. Sometimes it's too late. One winter in the West can be one winter too long for some elderly people. Healthcare finances are a problem, a worry. Healthcare in Thailand is very good, relatively cheap, but it's an unknown. It's very hard to insure people over the age of 62. So they have to budget for healthcare, but not knowing what it's going to be. And visas are troublesome. For somebody who's 80 years old to try and get a visa sitting in America, getting a police record, medical certificate, sort out financing can be more than they can cope with. So we say, don't worry about it. You can just get on an airplane, fly to Chiang, I'll sort out your visa problems. But then I've got 8 days from the day they arrive to get them to open a bank account, transfer money into a bank account, or get proof of income, and then get the visa. We do it, but they're jet-lagged, tired. They don't want to do it, but if they don't attend the bank, they don't get a bank account. If they don't attend immigration, they don't get a visa. So it's a trouble, but it's like many troubles in the world, the things you can always overcome. So where are we today? What's the journey so far? Well, we're at 35% capacity. We've got a mixed nationality clientele, both Asian and Western. When we started, I thought, we're never going to get any Asians here. But more and more, we're getting Asians, and now probably 50% of the people coming through in the latest months are Asian. We have independent living guests. These are guests that live in a villa, but we prepare their food, we clean the villa, we do all their laundry, we do their personal laundry, we organize their excursions, we organize their activities, but they live in a villa. They can go into town on their own if they want, they can do what they want. And we have 24-hour guests. That's a guest that has a carer close to them 24 hours a day. Now, dementia is important, and I'll talk more about dementia in a minute. 70% of our guests have some level of dementia, and 70% of our inquiries are dementia-related. What else can I tell you? Something you'll probably like to hear. The staff are wonderful. Thai culture works in the care industry. And our guest feedback, our feedback from their relatives has been excellent. And finally, for me, this is an enjoyable and emotionally rewarding business. There are some frustrations in running the business, but when you walk in the morning and you see how people are cared for, how their life improves with care, it makes you feel good about the business you run. So, how do we deal with dementia? I presume you all know about dementia. Basically, people's brains are slowly dying, and their memory goes, especially their short-term memory. My mother can eat breakfast and 5 minutes later forget she's eaten breakfast. But equally, I can tell her my son's ill on Wednesday, and on Friday she'll say, "Is your son better?" So it's a difficult disease, and it's affecting a great deal of people. It's dementia, including Alzheimer's, is a significant problem worldwide. And we subscribe to 3 factors in relation to dementia guests. We want to provide as high a quality of life as far as is practical and safe. So it's not just about keeping people alive, it's not about keeping people well, it's about providing a quality of life. That dementia and mental deterioration are slowed by mental stimulation and activities. And in today's newspaper, somebody's finally come up with a conclusion that if you get people with dementia to walk 3 hours a week, their dementia lessens. Now, as far as I'm concerned, I've known that exercise reduces dementia ever since we've been dealing with dementia patients. And finally, routine and links to the past are important. People with dementia, people with bad memories, they don't like 2 things. They don't like questions. Questions are difficult for them because they have to remember answers. And they don't like change. They like the day to be as normal. So we have to try and make sure all that works. Now, guests with early stages of dementia can live independently with care. People seem to think, my father's got dementia, my mother's got Alzheimer's, their life's over. No, it's not. They can live a life. Care supports those areas that declining memory makes problematic. And what are those areas? Well, medication control, financial control, money. Early in dementia, your ability to control money goes. Eating on time, eating the right foods. Personal hygiene, remembering to clean your teeth, remembering to shower, cleaning yourself after the toilet, dressing correctly. All those things can be supported by just a little bit of care, and people can live a life. They can go shopping, they can go to town, they can go out for coffee. They just need care to do it. And when mental deterioration gets worse and they need 24-hour care, we have boutique memory care units. These are small buildings, and guests have their own rooms, their own bathrooms, their own sitting area, their own TV. They can lock the door, but my carers have a pass key. And inside the middle is a central living support area. In that central living support area are the nursing and care staff. So guests are free to walk outside as they wish, but a carer follows them. They still go shopping once a week, they still enjoy activities, but 24 hours a day somebody is looking after them, because if somebody doesn't look after them, they might wander off because the brain is now quite damaged. An enjoyable life does not necessarily end just because of the illness. We've had great success with the improvement of dementia guests. I'll give you one example. We had a guest arrive from San Francisco, been in a care facility in San Francisco. Hadn't walked for 7 months, hadn't talked for 2 months. Within 2 months, she was walking 100 meters a day. And it's not because her legs didn't work, it's because we taught her brain how to walk again. It's a simple process, it's no magic. It's one carer on one arm, another carer on another arm, and please make 1 step, Susie. Please make 2 steps today, Susie. And that goes on every day till she's walking 100 meters. So, what if you want to go into the care business? What lessons do you have to learn? Well, is your market local or expat? Because they're different. We're focused mostly on an expat market. We have 3 Thai people, but all those Thai people have lived abroad. Second question, is this just a business venture, or do you care about the elderly? I don't believe you can run any business well if you don't care about it. If you just think, I'm in this business, I want to make money, I don't think your business does well, and it certainly doesn't work well when you're dealing with people. The slow build-up hurts financially. I know, it's my money. And a huge growing market doesn't make businesses necessarily easy. This is much more difficult business to develop as you might think. And across Asia, care businesses are failing. They're struggling to survive. But it's a great business to do if you put your heart and soul into it, plan it right, produce something that people want. It's the same with every business. And don't necessarily copy what everybody else does. Think, what would I do if I wanted this business, and develop it? So, I'm proud of Care Resort Chiang Mai. I'm proud of my staff. And I thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Peter Brown. Such a very fantastic speech. Actually, I received can you move a little bit at the front? I received so many questions and papers, they are very interested in your business. So we kind of chosen 5 of them to ask you today. The first question, they asked that, do you plan to expand to any other town in Thailand?
No.
No.
No. Number of reasons. Mm-hmm. One, I haven't got the finances. Mm-hmm. I've had investors come, but I like running my business. Mm-hmm. I can do what I want. I can employ the amount of staff I want. Yeah. I've worked for 34 years for a big company. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, if somebody comes for an interview for a job and we think they're good, I'll say, employ them. And we'll say, we haven't got a vacancy, Peter. Mm-hmm. Don't worry, one will turn up, employ them. You can't do that with financial investors. Yeah, sure. So I would like to do it in every town, but I'm 65 years old. I work a 7-day week. All my money's tied up in my business. I've got a young family, so no.
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 But one thing is that you told me before that you are you kind of stop working earlier than other people and you stop to do what you love. And I think you still really work very hard for now, right? Yeah,
but I retired at 55 with what most people, Thai people would say is a lot of money.
Yes, yep. Yes.
And I invested it all in a business and I worked 7 days a week. So I had plenty of free time and lots of money. And now I've got no money and no free time. But I'm happy.
Oh.
So that's what counts. Yeah.
That's very impressive. So go to the next question. Are there any languages problem? They say that you said in the slide that there were many foreigners inside the resort, right? But for now, there are also the Asian peoples. So are there any languages problem inside?
We try to encourage people to have at least English as a second language. Mm-hmm. But we've got some that haven't got much of a second language. I've got a Cantonese gentleman, he probably knows 20 words of English. But everything can be achieved. Something that you learn when you live in Thailand. Everything can be achieved if you find a way. So my staff have photographs of food and they show him a menu with photographs and he chooses from the menu. You can find a way to do it. We've also got a Cantonese lady there who speaks perfect English, so we can drag her in if it gets complicated. But it's an issue. Yeah, I'd love people with lots of languages, but you have to do what you've got.
Yeah, but it's not only about how to speak, but we also have body languages and any other thing to help that, right?
Yeah, I think when one of my carers puts their arm around the shoulder of one of my guests, it speaks a worldwide language.
Yeah, it's
I care about you.
Yeah. Okay. And the next question is about marketing. Like so many people are about to start the new business, so they wonder like how can your business being very successful without promoting? Like you do not use any kind of advertisement, you do not need any internet advertising. So how could you make this successful?
Google. You want to research elderly care, dementia care in Thailand, go and ask Google, and he'll tell you talk to Peter. That's
As simple as that.
as simple as that, but it's not as simple as that.
Yeah.
I mean, we were lucky because I talked on a Canadian radio show 2.5 years ago. Then a Canadian TV company came and filled it. Then people wrote blogs about the business. There's a blog in America where somebody's written all about my business, and he's never seen my business. He's not asked me one question. He's just watched a TV show and written about it. But all of that helps. So the internet has worked a lot. But number one now is word of mouth. Number one, you get one person that likes your resort, and they tell somebody else. They go to a seniors club, and they talk about it. I think I've had about 6 inquiries from Hawaii in about the last 3 months, all because of one person. And recommendation is worth 25 adverts.
Yeah, and it's like stronger than any other kind of advertisement. Yeah, and then the next question is that it's about your opinion. Like they ask about the needs of elderly people in other country. Like, what do you think? Can you predict like what they want?
Yes, I think everybody here can predict what they want. If you are old, what do you want? And you want companionship, you want health, but you want to be treated as an individual. Dementia, we talked about dementia. The trouble with people with dementia is they act like children some of the time. And it's very easy to talk to them like the children. But in that damaged brain, there's still part of that brain working, and that brain says, I want dignity, I want respect. I've done things in my life. I'm not a child. Please don't treat me like one. Some people can't express that. So you have to treat them as an adult that's had a life, that might have done a lot more things than you've done, a lot more experiences than you've got, just because they've got a mental disease, because their brain is dying, shouldn't wash all of that away. They're not children. And everybody wants to be treated with respect and dignity.
Yeah. And I believe that like not only like any other country, like everyone in the world believe in that too. And this is the last question. I don't think it's really a question, but I want to give this paper to you.
Thank you.
They said, can we visit your resort? And I really like it, so I think you better give it.
Yes, but please make an appointment. Okay. You can find our website, www.careresortchiangmai.com. Quite easy. And all the contact numbers are there. If you want to come and see, make an appointment. Be one of the many that come round. Either myself or my wife or my staff will happily show people round. We're proud of what we do.
Please give another round of applause to Peter Brown. Thank you very much. Thank you.